Hey there, Lianne Bridges, transformation coach here, and I'm so excited. I have I'm interviewing a very interesting young man, and I'm not biased at all. He happens to be my son. And Kerrsen Bridges-Parkinson is here, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the venture he went on this summer, which is absolutely mind-boggling. 21-year-old. He went across the top of Spain from France all the way to the very end near Portugal and walked it. And so we're going to hear a little bit about what inspired him to do that, what were some of the big challenges in him doing it, and what kind of he got out of it. And I think you'll see once you hear him speak, he's got a lot to say, some really great messages for everyone, but in particular for young people his age. I think he really has a lot to inspire others with. So welcome so much, Kerrsen. Thanks so much for
Thank
joining me
you. Thank
today.
you. Thanks, Mom. Or should I call you Leanne? Or
Yeah, exactly. You can
oh,
call me whatever. Just
all
don't
right.
call me
Well,
for dinner or something like that.
I'm happy
Uh,
to be here. Happy to explain my story. I have a lot to say. So
That's great. It's our first interview together, and hopefully it'll be the beginning of many. But let's start with the Camino del Compostela. I don't ever say it right. You'll be
Camino de Compostela.
De Compostela. Some people know it by the Camino, some people know it by Del Compostelo. And if you ever go to Europe, you see the signs everywhere because everything leads to De Compostela. And so let's start with kind of what inspired you and why did you want to do this adventure?
Well, honestly, you definitely put the idea in my head. It started because I really enjoyed walking, realistically. I was walking every single day, 10 to 15 kilometers a day. And you put into my mind the idea of going on the walk of all walks, right? And so I thought, what a great idea. If I'm already going to Europe to do something that really pushes myself mentally, physically, spiritually, and have like a genuinely fulfilling experience. Yeah.
Excellent. And so once you kind of heard about it, what did you do to kind of think about it, research it? Did you do much or did you just go, hey, I'm going to go?
Yeah, honestly, I can't say I did too much. I thought I was going into it relatively prepared. All I did was look at the book that tells me each stage of the Camino, and I continued to practice and walk every single day. But that being said, going into it, I can't say I was as prepared as I would have liked to be.
Do you
But
think you
yeah,
ever could have been prepared? Like, is it some one of those things you
yeah,
jump into?
that's the thing, right? It's kind of like you're going into the experience. The experience is what prepares you and helps you grow. So it's like I was happy with the level of preparedness that I at least went into it with. I
Awesome.
wasn't completely unprepared.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's start with or talk about, the start of it. So you left us, your brother, me,
yeah,
and your brother's girlfriend. We were in Portugal. We were ending our trip. You were basically
yeah.
starting your trip. We had spent a few days together, and we left you in Portugal at the airport in Lisbon, and you headed off on your venture. What did that feel like, first of all? And then tell us a little bit about what it was like when you landed in Spain and started your adventure.
Yeah. It was a lot. I was overwhelmed with emotions. I was overwhelmed with fear and excitement. And I remember I was on the plane and I was watching my favorite Netflix show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it was like the finale episode where like everything climaxes, and I felt like I was in that moment where everything was coming to a climax. All the work that I had done over the past 6 months was coming to some sort of climax where I was, about to go off on this big journey by myself. I have never gone on anything like that. I've never done any solo traveling. And so, yeah.
Wow.
And when I landed in Spain, it was it was a lot. It was a lot. I was just in this big city, people speaking a language that I thought I learned a little bit about, but when they're speaking in Spanish at the level that they speak, I couldn't understand a single word, right? And so yeah, it was a lot. I felt extremely overwhelmed. I felt like I just wanted you to be there with me. And but I knew it was the right thing for me. And yeah,
And you had a
once
couple of experiences right off the bat, right? You had,
yeah,
it's like your energy was like, whoa, I love that, that airbender kind of finale.
Romeo's at the door. He's
Okay,
just
you want to
walking.
go get your dog? He missed you very much along the way.
Come on.
For those of you who are wondering, he's in a different part of the house right now so that we can talk properly. There he is. He didn't get to go on the journey with you, but hopefully he
No,
will.
I wish.
Another journey,
Yeah.
right? It'll be good.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And we'll have, maybe we can send a link to your returning after 3 months of traveling to this video,
Yeah.
because it was such a great thing. But yeah, that kind of feeling. But not only had you done all the work, you had really done a lot of work with school and with work as well. So you had been working part-time, you've been going to school, kind of not at all engaged in school, but really pushing yourself, wanting to finish.
Yeah.
All these things were coming together at the
Yeah.
same time, right?
Yeah. I really felt like a stage in my life that I was kind of moving forward, moving out of. I just completed John Abbott, which was, if you know me, not not my favorite experience, but
Yeah.
was I was happy to have at least pushed myself through it and accomplished it and completed it. And so yeah, going from that, I literally did my last exam at John Abbott, and that day, a couple hours later, flew right off to Portugal. And yeah, saved up enough money and it really felt like a changing point in my life. And so having this experience
Yeah.
of of just a journey within myself and without was was really something that I felt like I needed.
So on that point, I remember when you were talking about it and planning it, there were some
Mhm.
people said, "Hey, like with work, I'd love to go with you, maybe do it with you, whatever." And you
Yeah.
decided, "I want to do this solo." So can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I really wanted an introspective journey, like truly a journey, just like I'm walking all the way across a country. So it's a journey in that sense, but also a journey within myself where I can try to understand myself and understand what I want and what I need for myself going forward in my life. And so it would have been really nice to go with my friends and it would have been a great experience. But at the same time, I knew it was the right thing for myself to do it alone and just see what that type of independence is like.
Mm.
And I mean, I was obviously wasn't alone the whole time. There's tons of people along the Camino and tons of people that I was able to meet and enjoy experiences with. Yeah,
But
it
that's
was.
pretty brave. It's pretty scary. I don't know if I'd
It
be
was.
brave. You're always more brave than me, but to inspire me for braveness. So here you are alone. When you start, you're in a new country. You're not even at the starting point of the Camino. You've landed in Bilbao, I think it was the name of
Mhm.
the place, right?
Yeah,
So
still
it's
about.
about a 2 hour drive or something to the beginning, and you're
Yeah,
trying to orient yourself. So give us a little bit about what that was like and how that felt.
yeah,
How you
yeah.
overcame the
I,
fear.
yeah, I don't know. I was super overwhelmed at that point, and I was sitting in the big bus station there, and I didn't even want to leave the bus station. I felt so scared and overwhelmed, and then I ended up leaving the bus station just to walk around for a little bit, and I was sitting on a bus stop or like a bench, and some homeless guy came up to me and started like harassing me, started pinching me, and you could like sense the fear that I had inside myself, and I was attracting that towards me. And then I went over and went into a grocery store, and I got accused of stealing, and it was just a whole experience that I was not ready for, but I guess was I attracted towards me because of the fear that I had, and it was, I guess, inevitably what I needed
Mhm.
to help me overcome my fears.
And so you
Yeah,
had to wait like several hours for the bus, and then you got to the destination, which was the beginning of the Camino, hoping that you'd meet other people that would tell you what to do. But you landed there around what, 10 o'clock at night or something?
yeah, and I wasn't at an albergue like the hostels there. I was at, it was kind of interesting. I was at some old Spanish lady's apartment, which was an Airbnb, but it was like her place, and I was in a room with her, or like not with her, but like
I get
with
it. Yeah.
her. and like she didn't speak a word of English, and so it was kind of cool though. She was giving me advice, and we were using the translator app to talk to each other, and it was like it felt like a grandmother trying to help me out on the
Wow.
beginning of my journey, and so that was nice. But then the first day was a really really tough experience, just as the day before that was. Yeah, not seeing anyone, not knowing where to go, and then um going up onto it. The first day was just treacherous all the way up a mountain, and I talked to a local who told me to go the old Camino route, which was, I don't know, I maybe he told me the right way, but I got lost or whatever. But I ended up going an extra 7 kilometers and got completely lost. And I was up on top of this mountain in the blistering heat and completely ran out of water. And I was walking for like 3 hours without water, without anyone around me, on top of a mountain. And I was just like,
What did you
the
feel like
Camino was
then?
already. Oh, I was scared. I was like, I felt defeated. Like it was the first day of the Camino, and I was already defeated by it.
So
And
what went through your mind when you were defeated like that? What went through your mind and how did you get yourself out of that?
well, I I I kept saying to myself, it was really a constant along the Camino. Was my big motto was one step at a time, like literally one step at a time. And so I can't think about how am I going to accomplish walking 30 kilometers in a day. I have to think about, okay, can I take one step right now? Can I take another one? Okay, can I take another one? And then another one, and then they build on top of each other, right? And so if I'm able to take the next step, then that's all I can think about. And yeah, that's basically what I did until I saw this. I was dehydrated, and I see this little water spurt coming out of the mountain, and I was like, God is giving me this gift. If I don't take it, I'm not being grateful. If I do get sick, then I was not meant to do the Camino. So luckily I did, and everything was okay.
And then
Yeah.
you made it that night to a place that by that time you were quite off the trail.
Oh yeah.
Did you know at that point you were off the trail and you're
Well,
already
so at that point, I know I was on the trail, but I was like really far behind because I had done an extra like 7 kilometers. So I'd already done like 30 kilometers that day on the first day. And like, with the backpack, it's like it's a whole thing you need to adjust to, right? And so I was walking up this mountain, and I knew I had another like 6, 7 kilometers left, and I couldn't go. I couldn't do it. And then I get to the top of the hill, and I see this thing saying, it said, "Love will guide the way." And I've been saying that I want to allow myself to be more loving and to allow love to guide the way. And I brought your book, like "Love Will Keep Us Alive." And so I was like, this has to be a sign. I need to go inside it. And it ends up, it was this commune of like a sustainable community, which is exactly something that I really want to learn about. And it was incredible. I met the guy there, and we had a great conversation, got a free, or it was a donation. And so I donated like 20 euros and got to stay there, had a great homemade meal and everything. And it really healed me from that day of
right.
whatever.
And by then
Difficulty.
it's like 2 days, right? And then the next day you had a lot of pain the next day in your feet.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
now
you were like 12
going back,
kilometers behind, I
going back over it. The beginning was a difficult time.
think.
Yeah,
It happens a lot when you start on a really difficult journey, and especially
yeah,
that intense of a journey, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So the second day, yeah, my foot was in so much pain, and I was trying to get the pilgrim passport, which is you stamp every place that you go so that you are like certified that you did the Camino.
right.
And so I had, oh my God, I had to like, I was in this town, this city, and I had to go back and forth in the city. Like it was a big city, like 5 kilometers long. And so by the time I had gotten to the point where I was supposed to start that day, I had already walked 12 kilometers, and I had like another 20 something. And I like, again, I felt defeated. I was like, come on,
You
like
were in such pain, right?
I was in so much pain. And then, yeah, I called you, and you said like, either, you take the decision, either you do it or you don't, right? And that's what I thought to myself. It's like, either I do it or I don't. If I'm gonna do it, I have to do it. But if I don't, it's okay, I can stay here today. But
Yeah.
I decided I wanted
Your
to.
trail, right? It's not anyone
Yeah,
else's.
exactly, exactly. That was something that someone told me right before the Camino. They had just done it. They said it's your Camino. Do it the way that you're supposed to do it, and that was incredible advice. And yeah, I decided to do it. And once I had it in my mind that I was going to do it, it was like I had shifted realities. The reality was already created. The only thing that had to be manifested was the steps in between, right? And it doesn't matter how treacherous, doesn't matter how painful, doesn't matter how hard those steps are in between. If the reality is already created in my mind, I just have to do them.
Mm.
And so yeah, I did that, and I was basically having to like crawl to the end of it, but I made it.
So
And
you said something really powerful there, and I want to just unpack it for a second because I'm not
mhm,
sure. I think people can get it mentally, but to really feel that here you are, you're in a ton of pain. You've had 2 days already of feeling defeat,
mhm,
and you went through a process deciding whether you were going to continue or not. I think maybe the feeling that you could decide not to let you out of some stress a bit, right? That you could stay there.
yeah. Well, that was really big about the um the next couple days, because I felt such an intense stress that I had to complete it.
Yeah,
It was obviously self-imposed, but it was like, oh, I said I was going to do it. Whatever
yeah,
my mind tells me, the ego attaches itself to
right,
anything to try to create it.
yeah,
And so yeah, and then again I got advice from you. um it was, I think, the third day, or third or fourth day. I called you and you said, like, you can stop right now. It doesn't matter. You can go to Barcelona and
yeah,
enjoy yourself. It's your experience. The world is your oyster. Do with it what you can,
yeah,
or with what you want to do, right? And so that day I finished. I went, the amount that I had to go, but I really put in my mind, like, I'm going to take these next couple days to try to get to, I think it was to get to Bilbao, to see if I want to continue or not. And I was thinking about getting an X-ray on my foot because my foot was in so much pain.
yeah.
But then halfway through that, I decided to I called an audible and decided to go out surfing for 2 days because I heard someone else on the Camino was doing it. And I was like, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I went there, and when I was there, I decided to start reading your book. And that was an incredible healing experience for me. And so, yeah, because I wanted your advice like I had gotten the past couple days, right? But I didn't want to go straight to the source. I didn't want to keep calling you to get advice from you. I wanted to kind of be able to get it through myself, and but also from you. So I felt like reading that your book was the perfect outlet for that. And yeah, I remember I was sitting on the beach there, and like just crying my eyes out. But it was incredible because I was able to feel such a deep contrast, such a deep profound contrast, feeling, being able to unveil the pain and suffering that I've had inside of me from dad's passing for such a long time, and then being able to see what was in front of me. I'm sitting in this beautiful Spanish, like, coastal town. And so the contrast of the pure profound pain with the pure profound beauty of what I was experiencing was incredible. Incredible.
So amazing. And it's just like there's so much there. The pain you felt, you were feeling physical pain,
Yeah.
but also some emotional frustration and everything you'd gone through.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the interesting that, the book was released like 4 years ago, and you just waited to this point to
Yeah.
actually read it because you
Yeah.
knew you weren't ready before. You knew somehow, though you didn't know what was exactly in it, you knew somehow that you would have to relive some of the pain by reading
Yeah.
it, right? So
Yeah.
you waited to that time, and
I
then
knew
you
that it was
got
going to,
that.
sorry. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a growthful experience, and I just needed it to be in the time where I could allow it to be the most growthful. And I felt like, while having a self-conquering experience such as the Camino, allowing it to be emotionally conquering as well would be
Yeah,
perfect. It
yeah.
truly was.
You really were working on physical, spiritual, emotional, all that
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
And
Everyone, like, um because when every time you meet someone, right, you always ask, oh, why are you doing the Camino, da, 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 da. And every single time I kept saying, I'm doing this because I want mental, physical, spiritual growth. And like everyone would say, oh, I'm just trying to have fun or whatever. I was like very specific. I want mental, spiritual, physical growth.
If I don't get one, I got to
Check,
take them
check.
all.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man, and it's interesting because where you were was where your dad and I traveled too, and it's kind of, we didn't travel on the Camino, and I don't even remember it then because it was back in the it was 2001, I think it was. I don't remember ever even hearing about the Camino back then, but we were right there where you were reading the book and probably where you were
Yeah.
on the beach, it was just like
Yeah.
all this magic. Your dad always has magic,
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
rise up to listen to it, it was so
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. And like I was reading a part of the book that you were talking about being in Spain and Caden's first footsteps and stuff. And I was like about 10, 15 kilometers from that town that you were in. And I ended up going to the town. It was a beautiful town.
So
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That is so nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
ask you to go back to the second day of the Camino, your third day, where you finally decided, even with the pain and everything like that, that you were going to do it. And you said, once I decided, it was just a matter of thinking of the steps. That's
Mhm.
something that we can sometimes know a little bit intellectually, but can you break that down a little bit more, how you do that? I don't, it may be a hard question to ask, but
It is,
it's
but yeah.
really, really a very important part of manifesting, but it's
Yeah.
often a very difficult thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, manifestation really is intention plus action, right? A lot of people believe it's just intention and writing down your ideas, but it's the action is the second half of it, right? And so once you create the intention, it's pure. It's past the sense of belief. It's a pure knowing inside of yourself that you are capable of creating it. The universe is capable of creating it. And once you have that sense of knowing, the action just comes with it. I
Mhm,
at least I believe, and that's how I have experienced it. It's
mhm,
like I have a sense of knowing I'm going to get to that place. This is going to happen, whatever it is, right? You want a new car, you
mhm,
create that. And so once you have the knowing in your mind, in your soul, that it is going to happen, the steps in between are just that. They're just steps. And
mhm,
so regardless of if they feel shitty, if they feel good, it's just a step.
mhm,
And so realistically, pain is just a feeling. It's something that we're meant to experience, something that we're meant to feel. And so to avoid it just because we don't like it is ridiculous. And so yeah, when I have that idea, when I have that manifestation, the intention and the knowing that it is going to be created, I'm willing to go through the pain because it's going to happen. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's going to happen.
yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes we can feel that in certain ways. We know something's happened, but a lot of times we have a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of doubt, and we are trying to get to that
Exactly.
knowing as well.
Yeah.
That's really, really amazing. Is that whole concept of, you know, about pain, and that it is just a feeling, emotional, physical, psychological, and it's an
Yeah.
experience, and it's the resistance to that that stops us from so much. It's the fear
Yeah.
that's associated with the resistance to pain. um,
Exactly.
and I imagine to some extent, not only the walking that you did and pushing yourself a lot, but the plunges into the ice cold.
I was just
Well,
going to say that exactly.
it's very painful. There's a level of
Yeah.
uncomfort and pain, and -30, you went into our pond.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
can't
Yeah.
believe you did that.
Yeah, I really think that helped me on a very intense level that was able to overcome dealing with pain and willing like the most important part is willingly going into pain every
Yeah,
single day
yeah,
just for the experience of pain,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
Not a sadomasochistic, but in a being able
yeah,
to feel, it's a way of mastering pain and
yeah, exactly.
mastering
Not not
the barrier.
not feeling pain because I like feeling pain, not because it gives me joy, but because I'm willing to experience pain. I don't want to avoid it. I want to experience every single emotion, every single feeling on this planet. Just like I look at it as like a color wheel, right? If
Mhm,
you liked blue, if blue is your favorite color, would you really only want to see blue all the
mhm,
time? Of
yeah,
course not. You want to see the entire rainbow, just like
mhm,
with emotions, just like with feelings.
Yeah.
And so pain is the thing that we avoid more than probably anything. And
Well, it
so with
stops us from everything, right? It's
it
that
does is
thin barrier between where we're all stuck and we're small and what's
yeah.
possible, the fear of pain, the fear.
And that's the thing. It's the fear. The actual
Mhm.
pain itself is never as bad as the fear.
Yeah.
It's always the anticipation. It's the fear that stops us from actually accomplishing. It's a fear that stops us from everything.
Mhm.
And once we actually are willing to, like with the cold plunges, that's what was I really figured it out was every single time I was so afraid. I didn't want to do it. Oh, the anticipation sucked. But then once I got in, okay, yeah, it sucked. It was painful for 2 seconds, but then it was okay.
Yeah. It was all that half an hour before thinking
Exactly.
about it, right?
The hour of fear was so much more painful than any of
Yeah.
the cold plunges actually were.
Yeah.
And that
So sorry, go ahead.
and that was the same for the Camino, where
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
single time, like I would whenever I would think I would get up in the morning, I'd be like, oh, I have 35 kilometers, I have 30 kilometers to go. It's like that feeling, the anticipation, the fear was always so much worse than actually doing it.
Yeah. And one of the things I love too is that, you had this kind of phonetic energy, going into the Camino, like this highest yeah, greatness,
Hmm.
fear, overwhelm, everything. And all this kind of stuff happened at the beginning. And
Yeah.
what you ended up doing, I think you said about day 5 or something, 4 or 5, is stopping, it's pausing,
Hmm.
taking self-care, like you did
Yeah.
self-care. You went and did, the beach, you read the book, you surfed, did something you
Surfing.
really
Yeah.
love, you paused and just allowed that
Yeah.
energy to come back to you. So
Yeah.
that's really, really important. It's such a metaphor as you're walking this path, right? And it's we all have big paths in our life and small paths in our life where we have to overcome things. But when we see our energy so out of alignment, and just by taking that time, it actually aligns you back to get
Yeah.
ready, right?
Exactly. And I like it how my friend Luca he put it in a specific way. He said he, like when I was telling him the story, he was like, "Oh, it sounds like a hero's journey where they get hurt and then they go off to recover and then they come back even stronger than ever." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Exactly.
it's how it is." Like I came back like I didn't I felt like my foot was broken and I came back feeling incredible. Like I could conquer the world after that.
Yeah.
And then
And
I
imagine
like
your self-healing too, that goes with that, right?
yeah, exactly. And then the next period of the Camino was quite seamless. It was pretty like pretty easy the next probably 15-ish days. Obviously, there was difficulties along the way,
Mhm.
but the real difficulties were at the beginning and then obviously the end, which were self-inflicted.
Exactly. Before we get there, is there
Yeah.
any other kind of memories or messages or anything that you got along those 15 more easy days? It was beautiful too, right? Because you were looking at the
Yeah.
ocean and you did a little
Yeah.
bit of surfing and walking.
Yeah. Well, so it was I found a big part was trying to balance like the yin and the yang. And
Mm.
so while doing the Camino, it's really easy to get like over yanged or whatever you want to call it, where I'm just like, I want to start pushing, 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 pushing. But then like I also need to be in the moment and
Mm.
be like with all the energy around me, right?
Yeah.
And um yeah, I really tried to take it in as much as possible and not be so just trying to complete it,
Mhm.
trying to actually enjoy the process itself, trying to enjoy the walk, trying to enjoy every moment that I was experiencing instead of just trying to get to the end. And that I think is really important in life in general because if we're always just looking for the end, we're never going to get there. We're always going to get to the place that we believe is the most is our goal, our heaven, our whatever, and then we're going to be unsatisfied. So
Mhm.
once we're able to, or if we're able to find joy and peace with the process, it makes not only the process more fun, but also when you get to the place that you were trying to get to, it makes it even better, even more incredible.
And was there any tricks or anything you did to help you stay in balance at all?
Mm, I, it was just all introspective. Like I was walking every day, just thinking in my mind, right?
Right.
So like I would just be talking to myself for obviously there was days where I would be talking to other people,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed being on my own while walking. I really liked talking to people around dinner time afterwards. unless it was a short day, I would like, I had one friend that I was with the whole time. This guy named Yannick, German guy that I met,
That is.
and yeah, and we had a good sense together where like we both didn't always want to be talking, and we knew when we both didn't want to talk to each other, so we would like go walk on different paces and stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed being able to just be with myself, and when I'm able to get in my own zone. And I tried to also, because music was a huge boost for me,
Mm.
and I tried not to use it as like a crutch in a sense. So I would try to get through the first like 10, 15 kilometers of the day without any music, which was really tough. But then once I would get past that, I would put my music in, and then I would be wired. I would get to the end so easily. And so like I would use that as a way. Or
Music
I
as a
also,
crutch. I haven't heard that one before. That's a good
well,
one.
they actually took it out of the Olympics, like for
Really?
running. Yeah,
Really?
because it gives an actual physiological boost, and also you can like time your steps with the rhythm, which is interesting. But yeah.
Huh, that's really interesting.
Um, but yeah, so I used that, and I started doing like self vlogs about halfway through. I just rewatched them all for the first time, and it
Oh
was
wow.
actually really interesting
Are you
seeing
going to
my.
post them some point?
I don't know. I think they were really for myself.
Okay.
Maybe I'd take like clips out of them, but they were like really specifically for me.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
it,
That's
it,
really
it
cool.
was nice. I like
Like a
one of the
diary,
guys.
but using modern technology. Yeah.
Exactly. I wanted to get a diary. I never ended up doing it. And I was talking to this guy along the Camino, and he's like, just start recording yourself, man. Like,
Hmm.
you'll look back at it and it'll be so worth it. And I was like, yeah, yeah, it was the right move.
How great. And the other thing that people struggle with a lot is being with themselves. And I
Hmm.
often asked you, like, do you feel lonely? And you'd laugh at me. You go, Mom, there's like anywhere I go, there's 20 people around me. I said, you can still be in a
Yeah,
crowd and feel lonely. He said, I can talk.
yeah,
I was surprised that there weren't a lot of young people. And on that
yeah,
trail that you went in, there wasn't a lot
yeah,
of young people. And I laughed when you told me you were, in sometimes these places with 20 or 30 older Spanish men snoring and stuff. It
yeah,
sounded like
yeah.
not my ideal place, but you managed through that all. But did you ever feel lonely, or did you feel, or how did you overcome that, if you did?
No, I never felt lonely personally. I honestly, I felt, if anything, the opposite, where there was people around me and I wanted to be alone,
Mm,
because I'm definitely more introverted.
mm,
And so I really, more than anything along the Camino, felt such a desire for my own alone time. And so there would be times where I would just like, after a long day, I would just sit like in my cot and just watch Netflix and eat my Oreos or whatever, and just wanted to like completely peace out from everything.
yeah.
But yeah, if I ever needed like people to talk to, there was tons of people around, and everyone on the Camino that I met was extremely outgoing, extremely like just genuine and peaceful and just nice. Like everyone was so welcoming. Even the people who weren't on the Camino, like everyone would walk, you would walk by all the locals and they'd be like, "Buen Camino, buen Camino, buen Camino."
Wow,
So yeah, it was a great experience. It was never a time that I felt lonely.
that
But
is incredible. That's really
yeah.
incredible.
And
So,
yeah, um like you're saying, there was like not many younger people on the Camino, which is like was a big surprise for me too. There was some people around my age, but mostly people around like their 50s, 60s, 70s. And I met this one group of younger people, and this girl asked me, which was a really big surprise, like it was a shock the way she asked me. She was like, "Are you suffering?" Like, because, which like hit me like, what do you mean? Am I suffering? But most of the people my age were, on a beach drinking beers or doing something. People my
party.
age don't tend to walk 800 kilometers.
Yeah.
And so it's just like people who are suffering, which I didn't even really realize, people who are suffering tend to do stuff like that, like trying to find themselves, trying to find some sense of purpose. And so those people who were like had cancer, I saw
Mm,
one person who had cancer who was walking it, and
right.
had people who had lost people who were trying to find purpose and meaning. And yeah, I found that really interesting.
And in some ways, we all are suffering, right? And all healing
Yeah,
from something, like, healing from the loss of your father, loss
yeah,
of husband, all that. There's layers of healing. And you went through a massive layer of healing through that process of
yeah,
that. for sure. So you talked about then the kind of talk about the end of the trip, what that was like for you and your self-imposed suffering.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a really interesting experience. I decided that I was gonna fast for the last 5 days, so just water, which
By the way, I
maybe,
wasn't very happy about this. I didn't
yeah,
want to do
maybe might not seem like the smartest idea to many people, but I really wanted to push myself mentally, physically, spiritually, like I said. And yeah, it was just that, a intense challenge.
Did you do the detox too, the digital detox at the same
Yes, I
time?
did that as well. I did, yeah, a dopamine detox, which is just detoxing from instant gratification, which while you're doing a fast, you're already doing almost half of it. So
Mhm.
like yeah, I wasn't going on social media or watching Netflix or anything like that.
Yeah.
And um yeah, it I really, how I felt it, like, because there's a lot of physiological benefits to fasting and stuff like that, but I'm not a scientist. I don't really know everything. But for me, it was really, I wanted to push myself to the utmost of my abilities, and also, like, understand my eating habits. But also, I found the most interesting part of it was, I want to experience reality. I want to experience reality without it being barriered by a chemical, by a technological thing, or anything, any sense of consumption. I wanted to genuinely just experience what was in front of me without anything driving me. And
Did
I,
that happen?
in some sense or another, right? But not fully. I can't say I reached spiritual enlightenment, but I went on a spiritual journey in some sense or another. And yeah, uh, the first couple days were all right, and
Can I just
it
add
was
that
fun.
you had done at least you'd done one
Yeah,
day fast and one 3-day fast, so you at least your body kind of
I've
knew what was
I no,
ending.
I've done a few more than that. I've done a couple
Okay,
2 days and a 3 day, and so yeah, like, you don't just start with a 5 day fast. It's
no,
not,
and
especially
walk
on the,
30 kilometers in the 30-degree heat.
yeah, no, it's not something you start with.
Yeah.
Um, it's like a muscle that you got to build. But
Mm.
yeah, um, yeah, it was funny though. On like the third day was probably the hardest for me. Like, just all around was difficult. And I remember I got to the like the albergue there, and I sat in my room for like an hour, just put my, or yeah, I put my earbuds in, like, to block out the music, and put my or to block out the sound, and put my, like, sleeping mask on, and I went through every single day of the Camino and thought about every single thing that I had eaten. And like, which was, I mean, probably not smart. It was torture, but like, I couldn't not think about food. But at the same time, I was going through the videos, and it was cool. I was like saying in the videos myself, like vlogs, I was saying, like, I was feeling like more heightened sense of awareness, and like, just senses in general. I felt like my vision was clearer. I felt like my awareness was clear. My hearing was better, and I felt like it's kind of like when an animal is forced to hunt. It's like they're in that primal sense of, they're
Yeah.
tapped in. And I,
Yeah.
in some sense or another, felt that I wasn't, all the way there, but yeah. And
Yeah.
so, like I was saying, I want to experience reality deeper. And if I'm able to heighten my senses, then I am in turn experiencing reality deeper.
Right. Right. Yeah. And then you said, I think the either the last day or the two last days, it was interesting because you explained to me at the time that it wasn't as much that you were hungry anymore physically, but your
Yeah.
mind was completely focused on food as if you were a hunter
Hmm.
gatherer, had to get food. It was like something tapped into the primal side of us that probably we never know. We know the feeling
Yeah.
of hunger, maybe even big hunger, but not that same, I have to go and, take down a deer and eat it live,
Yeah.
right?
No, it was not, because that's what I was really realizing, that our sense of hunger that we normally have is not hunger. It's desire. It's the constant desire for a dopamine release from food, which is constant.
And a bit of growling
And,
in the stomach, right?
sorry.
And a bit of growling in the stomach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because your body's used to it.
Mhm.
But it's not real hunger. When real hunger is not a desire for, oh, I want a pizza. Oh, it's gonna taste good. It's like I need food. My body is requiring food. It's not a desire, it's a requirement. And yeah, on the yeah,
The last day.
yeah, the last day was wild because the last day was 40 kilometers. I said, like, again, like I said, it was all self-imposed. I set it up for myself to do 40 kilometers on the last day, which was the most I had done because I really wanted a climax. I wanted it to be the hardest thing that I could go through on the fifth day of a fast, hiking 40 kilometers with 35 pounds on my back.
And what was the temperature?
I don't even remember. It wasn't super hot that day,
Okay.
but um yeah. And so the day before that, I had just finished your book, like the last day, the fourth day of my fast, last night of the Camino. I finished the book, and it's all about the symbology and the meaning behind the number four, which is really interesting. I ended up waking up at 4:44 in the morning on the last day of the Camino, the fifth day of my fast, after just reading the book. And yeah, I woke up just so ready, like just felt absolutely in tune and aligned with my purpose, with completion of this journey that I've been on for not only a month, but for like getting ready for like 6 months.
Mm.
And so yeah, then yeah, the first 10 kilometers was good. I broke up, I had a break between each quarter of it, right? And so the first 10 kilometers was good. The next 10, 20 kilometers down was I was fine. Oh man, that 20 to 30 kilometer stretch was probably one of the most difficult experiences of my life. Like, just I felt like I was dying. I like my body felt like it was shutting down. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel because this is something that's been constant with me, is that the third quarter has always been my worst quarter. So playing football or anything like that, third quarter is the
Yeah.
worst. And we have this saying in football: we don't get beat in the fourth quarter. And so always amazing in the fourth quarter, but the third quarter not so much. And so yeah, the that third quarter was just treacherous. It was brutal. It took every single thing out of me. I at one point like took like a 20-second break, and I was like on the edge of almost fainting. Luckily there was people all around me, so if anything bad were to happen, like I would be okay. I wasn't in the middle of nowhere. But
How did
yeah,
you how did you survive that part? What did you say to yourself? How did you feel? What did you do to
I
survive that?
just I just it's the same type of thing. I knew that I was going to complete it. I
Mm.
knew that I created this reality for myself. I created a challenge for myself that was going to be completed. And all I needed to do was continue to keep going, take it one step at a time. That was my biggest motto: one step at a time. Can I take one more step? I could keep taking one more step.
Mhm.
But yeah, and my ego kept saying, like, oh, you have 20 kilometers to go, you have 15 kilometers to go. Da, 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 da. But I kept trying to tell myself one
And your
step.
ego is trying to protect your body,
It
is
is.
trying
Yeah,
to
it
keep you
is.
from
It is. It's
live,
our
right?
survival instincts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Hmm.
Um, but then I was able to, I got to the 30-kilometer point, and I just passed out. I put my stuff down, I laid on the grass, and like I think I took a 2 hour nap just in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, once I woke up from that nap, it was funny. There was
Did the
people like,
self-care again, right? When you
yeah,
really needed, you took the self-care and
exactly.
rejuvenated,
Yeah,
even if it was a small one.
exactly.
It's really good.
Yeah. It was funny. There was people like taking pictures of me because I was just like
Really?
laid out on the ground. Yeah.
That's
And
so
but yeah, then once I woke up from that nap, I was so ready. Like I had never felt more determined in my life. I felt like everything was coming to the climax. Everything was I felt like a lion searching for its prey. I put my music I hadn't put my music in for the first 30 kilometers, and then for the last 10, I decided to put my music in. And oh man, I think I almost ran that last 10 kilometers. I was so ready to get there, so ready to accomplish it. And yeah, I got to Santiago de Compostela, the city there with this then in front of this huge cathedral, right? And you come out to this big courtyard, and there's just everyone who has done the Camino, just people laid out on the ground, people happy, people crying, people laughing. And I like just sat down there, and I just was overwhelmed with emotion. I started crying. I felt so accomplished, so just incredible. It was truly one of the most profound experiences that
Wow,
I've ever felt.
that's so amazing. And did you stay there for a while, or did you just
Yeah. Yeah, I
back?
stayed there for like a good 30, 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. And just like sat
I
there and
didn't
just
have
took
to
it
go
all
in
in.
the church at that time, right? You
No,
decided.
I was done with Camino stuff at that point. I wanted food. I wanted to lie down. I wanted to, yeah,
And you had to
yeah.
wait for food because they didn't open the restaurants, right? And you had
Um,
planned exactly
it
your whole
was that also
meal.
because I had to finish my fast at 8.
Oh,
I had like a time that I wanted to finish my
couldn't
fast.
couldn't cheat an hour or something. That was hilarious. I was talking to you, you still hadn't eaten. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And then you ate
Oh my God, I ate. Yeah.
like a
I I
lion.
I went to a Mexican place and got a big burrito. I got a thing of nachos with pulled pork. I got a quesadilla. I got a dessert. Got some chips. Oh man, I ate. And it was, what was funny was that when I went and got my food, like because I was so, like right there with the food, it's like I really, really felt like a lion searching for my prey. Like I was able to just like sprint. I was like running back because I went like a kilometer and a half of a walk to go to get the food, and
On
I
top of
completely
40
just,
kilometers. Oh
yeah,
God.
after the 40 kilometers, I just like ran back. I felt like I had all the energy in the world at that point, just because like I could actually taste it, like taste victory and not just victory, the actual food. But yeah.
That's insane. And how did that feel eating and that night?
Oh my God. And
Was
I put my Netflix out too, so like because I was, I had it all set up, and I was just
all the rewards,
the
food,
perfect
Netflix.
release. Yeah, yeah. I have to say I definitely didn't do it the best way. I ate way too much. I was digesting for like 48 hours, but yeah,
It's
it
like
was
you
really,
see lions on the savannah. They do that because
yeah,
they eat, and then their whole belly is massive. They can't hardly move.
yeah.
They gotta
That
sleep.
that's what I was like. I woke up the next morning and I felt like drunk, like because I
Wow.
was like digesting. So I went to talk to my friend and stuff, and I felt like just out of it because of how much I was still digesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
Probably emotionally and spiritually too, of all you had
yeah,
accomplished, everything. You're like in another dimension almost. And so
yeah,
the next day you went back to the basilica or the
yeah. The
cathedral,
cathedral there,
and then
and all
that was
my friends who I was walking with, they didn't do the whole 40 kilometers. They wanted to break it up more, and so
okay.
they had arrived that day, and so I was able to meet up with them, and I went out
As
and
they
got
were
my,
arriving as well. Oh, how fun!
yeah, and so then that's when I went into the cathedral. I got my, do I have it? Oh yeah, I have the, the Compostela.
You're it's like your certificate, right?
It's, yeah, the certificate for the completion of it.
It's amazing.
And
Awesome.
yeah, so I got that, and I got some little souvenirs and stuff, and then I went shopping, and then it was really nice. There was a big like party in the street. I think it was a Saturday, so like they had like this a band playing and like just hundreds of people out in the street. I wouldn't see that anything like that around here, and it was really interesting. It felt really good. I didn't drink any alcohol as well throughout the entire Camino,
Oh
and
yeah,
so
that's
then
important to say too. Yeah, did you drink at
I
that point?
yes, I did. I had a couple drinks that night, and so that was fun. Stayed
Wow.
up till like 4 in the morning. Just, yeah, had a really, really great experience.
That's so incredible. And then I love too, was it the next day that you started to head to Croatia? Was it the next day?
So it was, yeah, after that day, or
After that day, right? Yeah, it was the
yeah,
next
I went to Vigo, or
day.
Vigo, wherever it is.
So
Yeah.
so kind of like now we're at the other bookend. So the first bookend when you went to Bilbao, you landed there after you left us in Portugal, and you had the experience of being afraid and having the homeless person pinch you and the other
I
shop
was pitching.
owner and everything. Now you're at the
Yeah,
next day after or day or two after, and tell us about what happened with
yeah. So it
the,
was
the
like
opposite experience in total
the
different
exact
energy, right?
opposite. Yeah, I I was trying to get onto a bus to get to the airport in Vigo, and I didn't have any change. I only had $50 bills. And so then I went to an ATM, and they gave me money. It was only in $50 bills again. And so I was kind of struggling, trying to figure out what to do. And I couldn't talk to the shop owners because I still didn't know nearly enough Spanish. And this guy just rolls up on a skateboard and comes up to me and starts like talking to me, clearly a homeless man. But he didn't just come up to me and start like begging and stuff. He came up to me and like actually introduced himself and
Did he
was
speak
asking me
English?
about, yeah, speaking English, perfect English.
Wow.
And he was probably around 25, not much older than me.
Okay.
And yeah, he like after about like a couple minutes of talking, he like asked like it's boiling out here. Like, could you just get me a cold drink or something? And I was like, well, if you can help me, I can obviously help you. And if you can help me get some change from like a restaurant over here, then of course I'll get you whatever you need. And yeah, so we went to all these different restaurants. None of them would give it to us. I don't know if they didn't want to, or like they said it was like the change day or something. I don't know, whatever. We ended up getting to a restaurant and we were able to get some. And then he asked if like I could give him money for food or whatever. And I gave him some of my money, and it was I didn't know if I was gonna have enough for the bus, but I was like, you know, this guy is a good man. He's helped me out a lot, and he needs it, very clearly needs it more than I do. And so I gave
Hamza,
it to him.
can you hear the cat meowing here?
Oh, man.
Looking to be fed.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if you could hear her if it wasn't
No,
interfering.
I couldn't.
Okay, good. She keeps meowing though. So sorry. So you didn't know if
Yeah,
you had enough money, but you gave
yeah,
it.
but I was like, whatever at that point. Like that's just me missing a bus compared to him having something to eat. And he obviously needed it more than me. And then he like gave me a hug. I gave him a hug back, and I said like, I believe in you. Like you like whatever. Like, and I gave him love, the love that he needed. Like that he needed to be seen as a human being, not as a homeless person. And it
Right.
was like the opposite of what the experience I had before. And then crazy enough, when I got to the bus stop, there were two German people, and they came up to me and just started talking to me out of nowhere. And then we got onto the bus, and they just paid for my ticket, just like that. Like I didn't have
Without
to ask, I didn't
asking.
anything. They just paid for my ticket. I'm like, that is how the karmic retribution of this universe works. When you truly give from the depth of your heart, you receive in turn. And
Yes,
yeah,
and the alignment of your energy. You think about
yeah,
how what your energy was like at the beginning, as much as it was
yeah,
exciting, it was also very nervous and frenetic.
yeah,
And nervousness, freneticness, and excitement and adventure really feel the same in our bodies. And
yeah,
then you had this whole release and relief. That's where you manifested the
yeah,
highest. Like a
yeah,
lot of it
exactly.
when you had difficulty, when you paused and took a break and released all that tension, then you were able to
Yeah,
manifest again, right?
yeah, very true. Yeah,
So
yeah, and just feeling like overwhelming amounts of love, which was exactly the whole purpose of not only why I do the Camino, but why I do anything, is to experience love on a deeper level and to
mm,
project love. And so, yeah, when I was radiating that higher than I've ever radiated it, I was able to attract a genuine experience, a genuine human experience. And
wow.
it was beautiful.
And just before we kind of finish off with some of the last ideas, it was so interesting because then you went from there and you went over to Croatia to meet two of your best friends,
Yeah,
celebrate in a couple of days later your 21st birthday. So maybe we
yeah,
can just finish off with that kind of juxtaposition and excitement of
yeah,
what that was like, and what a way to end that part of the trip. And I know you did
yeah,
2 more months after that, but that part, that transition was
yeah. Yeah, it
fascinating.
was really a release. It was nice being able to like after being I get you I'll go back to the question you said before, like was I lonely? I wasn't lonely in any sense, but then I also was craving like the genuine intimate relationships that I have with my closest friends,
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
closest friends. Even even if I had good relationships with people there.
Mhm.
And so at the end of at the end of it, there were I was just thinking like, oh, I can't wait to see my friends. I can't wait to see them. And I went like completed the Camino, felt so much love, and I was able to see them and enjoy my time with them. Had my birthday. We went to like this club on this private island, whatever. It was incredible. And yeah, just being able to have that sense of release and that sense of just
Mm.
enjoyment after a month of
Amazing.
challenge, to say the
And
least.
then you went and did like 8 other countries after that and traveled and
Yeah,
had all sorts of experiences. Maybe we'll talk about it in another, interview.
yeah,
But now then you got home, so and now you've been home for about 2 months, I think it has been, something like that? About that? Month
yeah,
and a half,
month
2
and
months?
a half.
So how now looking back on that, what like, is there any you have any different perspective on on what you experienced? Anything new? Has it been challenging coming back and after that kind of
Yeah, it has in a
heightened
sense where it's like,
experience? Phew, right?
yeah, yeah, it has in a sense where, um, I feel like I wanna do a lot more right now, but it's like I also, when I was there, was craving to be back home and to have a sense of comfort and stability, and so it's not looking towards something that's not here, looking for what is around me and being happy with what it is, because, yeah, on the Camino, I just every single day would be like, "I just wanna be at home, I wanna be in my bed,"
Yeah.
and now that I am, I'm like, "Oh, I wanna be out on the Camino again."
Exactly, that's it, that's what we're like,
Yeah,
right? And I loved how you
exactly.
always described too that, like, when we take a trip, is it's very condensed form of life, right? So
Mhm.
you go for 10 days or 2 months or whatever, you experience so much, and then whereas in your day-to-day life, you experience the same amount over months and even years.
Exactly.
So the
Yeah,
intensity of that is really hard to maintain, and when you're in it, you're going, "I just need a break." And then you
yeah,
come home and you don't have that intensity and that dopamine or whatever gets rushing. And you're like, "Ooh, I want that excitement again," right?
yeah.
It's hard sometimes to
It is, yeah, it is. Yeah, I like to say that traveling is just living faster. Like, we perceive our time based off of experiences. Time is relative, right?
Mhm.
Uh, From when you're 0 to 10, that's 10 years, but it's your entire life. When you're 10 to 20, that's 10 years, but it's half your life. So it's
Yeah.
an exponentially quicker. And so, but we define it through the experiences that we have.
Mm.
And when you are meeting new people every single day, when you're doing new things every day, seeing new places every single day, it felt like the 3 months, the 12 weeks that I was in Europe felt like 12 months. It
Mhm.
felt like an entire year.
Yeah.
And yeah, and honestly, I would say one of the most important things about that was how quickly everything fades when you're traveling, how quickly things move on. And so you really are, like, truly able to feel how fleeting our reality, our life truly is. So when you're meeting someone, it's very, very likely it's the last time you'll ever talk to them. Maybe you'll see them for another couple days, but then okay, they're gone.
Right.
And so with that, it's you have to live every moment like it is your last time with them or experiencing. It's the last time you're going to be in this place or the last time you're going to meet these people. And so it's difficult, and there's times where it sucks, but it's also like super profound, and it's also a great lesson for your life because we take that for we take that for granted. We with our friends we'll be like, oh, well, I'll see them tomorrow, I'll see them in a week from now, but realistically we don't know that. We have
Yeah.
no idea.
It's such a great parallel, right? It's such a great metaphor. And I love how you said like 12 weeks were like 12 months. And I
Hmm.
also just tap onto the whole hero's journey, the Joseph Campbell. I'm not sure we've talked a lot about that, you and I, but it's very much like our whole life is an arc of the hero's journey where, we get
Yeah.
called to something, usually we're resistant to it, then we go through the challenges and then we find something that there's a spiritual guide through the whole process and we come back, and the important part, which is what you're doing right now, is bringing back what you've learned from the hero's journey to the community
Mhm.
and to inspire others. And from what I've seen, not only while you were on the Camino and posting some of the things, you inspired people. They started. You've inspired me in many many ways. None the least that I'm now jumping in the pond in the damn cold, but in so many ways. But it's really important for to kind of close that loop, to be that inspiration. So what do you see for yourself as you're going forward in that regard, or any other, as you move forward into
Yeah, yeah,
next?
see it like that, in that sense where I really want to be using my voice for expression. I all these things that we do are for the prosperity of others and
Mm.
the society as a whole, right? We don't do things just for ourselves. And so when I'm trying to grow as a person, if it was just for me, like why would I be doing it? I
Mm.
want to use my voice and use my expression towards being able to help other people, towards being to help prosperity and peace and love grow and illuminate throughout this planet, throughout this universe, throughout my family, throughout friends, throughout whatever, right? And so it's obviously a lot easier said than done, but taking it one step at a time, doing something like this where I'm able to just use my voice. And when we use our voice, we're being using our genuinity, and our genuinity is tapping in. It's the most important thing. It's what channels God. It's what channels love throughout us. And yeah, I want to continue to travel and continue to do treacherous things, such as the Camino, whatever it is. Yeah,
Hard being your
and
mom sometimes. But
no need to worry. I got God on my side.
there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
and I just trying to help others, trying to spread love. That's the most important thing. Wherever I go, I want to just bring peace and love and God
that's
in the
perfect.
best way that I can.
That's a great way to end this segment. That's so amazing. And I think this is first of many because this has
Yeah,
been a great chat. I've really enjoyed it. And I know many people are going to enjoy this conversation.
yeah, I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
This was
So
awesome.
thank you so much. Really
Thank
appreciate
you, Mom, for
it.
the outlet and
Thank
pushing me too to do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
awesome. It's been so much fun. So I'm just going to stop the recording and say
all
goodbye
right.
to everyone and stay tuned for other parts of this great adventure.
Yeah.